Welcome back, everybody. Me and Cody have just landed straight in from Arizona in the USA. We've just spent £10,000 to have a one-to-one training session with the sales master, Andy Elliott. So we're going to deep dive the trip, what we learned, how we found Arizona, and some of the benefits that we took away from spending a weekend with the sales master himself, Andy Elliott. Right then, first things first, 10 hours off the plane. We're a little bit jet lagged, obviously, but we are both buzzing off of the weekend that we've just spent with Andy, his team, everything that we've learned, the takeaways, how he runs his team, how he runs his business. For a bit of context, he's started his business 5 years ago. He was a car salesman before that. Really, really, really big on sales. His ability to handle objections is second to none. But he started his business 5 years ago. He scaled it to a 9-figure turnover company. He's absolutely smashing it. And obviously, some of the key takeaways that we want to share with our audience, with what we've learned. But again, spending £10,000 on something like that.
You want to get your value?
First things first, was it worth it?
100%. You know, the first day, you know, we went on the course started at 9 a.m. and there was the option, wasn't there, to do was it 5 a.m. that we had to start with the training?
6 a.m. It was up at 5, 6
That's
a.m.
it.
training session.
And it was one of the ones where it was a cardio session. So not everyone's turned up to it. Obviously, we are going to turn up to it because we want to get as much value as we can out of what we've just paid for. Now, you're a lot better than me because you do cardio far more than I do. I'm one of them where I just would never even touch it with a barge pole. Unfortunately, that is exactly what it was. We were running up a hill for 1.5 miles, and then it was doing squats, then it was doing this, then it was doing that, and then you thought it was over, then it was like, no, we've got another half an hour left. And, you know, I'd like to think I did all right in the end. I managed to sort of get through it, but we're glad we did it, and I'm glad I did it even more so because it just shows you the determination that you need in not only to complete that task, but the determination you need to follow through on the things that we'd learned while we were there.
Yeah, I was proud of you. I'll be honest. It's one of those things, watching you try your
Struggle.
best, struggle through it. But that's the thing in business and that's the thing in life. And sometimes you've got to do the shit that you don't want to do. And that is really what life is about. And too many people have become so comfortable nowadays where they spend their days being comfortable, not stepping outside of that not stepping outside of their comfort zone. And people need to embrace the pain, embrace the shit, because that's where you do the most growing, both as an individual, both as a leader, both as a business owner, a business person in your career. It's about stepping outside of that comfort zone and embracing the shit. So watching you go up that hill in 30-degree heat at 6 a.m., I'll be honest, I was proud because looking at everybody else struggle, I'll be honest, I was at the front. I was looking back. And the thing that really rang true to me more than anything was Andy's team that were working alongside everybody that was there. And it was a solid 30 people, I would say, that were there.
Yeah.
But I'd say 10 of them were Andy's team, and they are up at 6 to do the workout. They are leading from the front, they're leading from the middle, and they're leading from the back. They're not trying to purposely win or come across as arrogant, but you could tell straight away, and that was our first meeting with his team. And you could tell straight away that the leadership mentality and the culture that he'd embedded into the team, it wasn't one of arrogance and, you know, trying to win and push other people down. Straight away, it was bring everybody along, rally the troops, leadership, influence, and helping others rather than trying to just outshine everyone and win.
I mean, I loved it because it was, like you say, just completely motivational. They weren't bothered about themselves. And then every interaction, it's like, oh, you're all right. Oh, how you doing? How you this? How you that? And because it was over multiple days, you knew that they weren't just, it wasn't just a show. You could tell that they genuinely cared about the business that they were representing. And also Andy himself as a coach and a leader to them. And he's been able to cultivate this. I mean, they made a bit of a joke kind of saying it was like a cult, but it was like a cult, but for working hard, fitness, trying to strive for the best and all these things that, I mean, why would anyone not want to be striving for those things? And it's infectious. So when you're there, everyone's on the same page and pushing for the same things. And if I wasn't in that environment, there is no way I would have made it up that hill, because that was the worst bit. It wasn't even a jog. It was more just like I don't even know, just sheer grit to get through that thing and then have to do more when we got back. But no, it was really worth it.
This is the importance, though, of surrounding yourself with the right people, because you can go through life, and if everybody around you is getting up at 5 a.m., smashing a workout first thing, pushing you to be and do the same, you're only going to end up having that same mindset and mentality. And then all of a sudden, those 5 a.m. starts, they become a lot easier. And it's not a challenge anymore to do it. It just becomes part of your routine. It becomes part of the norm. And also then the team around you, they're all growing and they're pushing each other and helping each other. So it creates a mindset within the team that you're working with, that you've got each other's backs. And that's something that we saw straight away. And how many people nowadays can actually look at their friendship group, look at their colleagues, and actually say that these people have my back? One of the most beautiful things that I've ever heard was from Simon Sinek, who went to go and spend time with I think it was SEAL Team 6, Delta Team, whoever it is, it's the special forces in the US. And he asked them the question, what are the key factors that you would select within the candidates or within the recruits that are going through BUDS training to actually pass and become a SEAL or become part of the elite forces? And the one thing that stood out, he said, is trust and integrity. And I need to be able to, above all else, above execution and above having this mindset of complete determination, true grit, never going to back down. Because he said there are so many people that are great athletes. There are so many people who are going to persevere and push through pain, which is a lot of the training. They are half drowned. They do get deaths through the special forces training. He said it's none of that. It's to be able to look to the person next to you and trust them emphatically and know that they've got your back and they will save your life. And when shit hits the fan, they can be relied on. And equally, you have their back. And there's this creation of trust between two people or a team that it's so rare to have nowadays. Most people don't even like the people they work with. They don't get on. They don't have a good culture. They don't have a decent teamwork mindset or teamwork mentality. They wouldn't spend any time with the people that they work with outside of their day-to-day or even their friends. I hear so many stories of people that are backstabbing their friends, talking shit about their friends. And I just think to myself, what sort of snake are you, where the people that you're actually closest to, you're there absolutely snaking them and stabbing them in the back when they're not there. And it's such a shame. But then seeing the contrast to that with obviously Andy and his team and watching how genuinely caring each one is about the other person, the team, the mindset, the business, the culture, you can see why all of a sudden he's worth $200-300 million his business, because of the mindset of teamwork and helping each other out.
Well, what he says is it's all down to his team. I think the best thing that he does is, as being a leader, he tries to create more leaders. And he does that with every one of the people that work there to kind of make them their own master of their universe type thing. And they're kind of a leader unto themselves. And then it breeds more leaders and more leadership. But it starts with his vision that he had, and then the culture that he's built within the team, gets the right staff in, and it just continues to breed more positivity, more people that, have the same sort of mindset. I mean, with the gym side of things, a lot of people might absolutely hate it. But he said during one of his speeches, he was like, if someone comes in and they're going, well, I don't like the gym, but they might be an ambitious person, but they're not there. And the whole culture of the team is surrounded by, getting up early, going on the runs, doing going, like, training together, working together. If they're not going to do that, they're not going to quite fit the team. And he's very particular on who he brought in. And that meant that it kept that same culture and the same vision, and everyone is just running together. So it's massive, and it shows you how important that it is.
It is a huge point because, again, leaders that are watching this and business owners and people that recruit people into a team, you need to sort of start to actually think more about the person that you're employing, the people that you're employing, not just from a work point of view, from their ability to perform a task. Who are they as people? And you do see a lot of these business leaders now that talk about whether they would ever go on to, the famous one is always go and play a round of golf with them. And if they're the type to cheat and kick their ball forward, then you should never do a business deal with them, because if they're willing to cheat on a golf course, they'd be willing to cheat in business, and they'd be willing to cheat you. And so it's all about this integrity. And if all of a sudden you bring one bad apple into the mix that rottens the whole apple cart, and now you've got one person, that mindset is so infectious. And they've done psychological studies on this, where you could have 5 people in a team, you could have 3 hard workers and 2 that are lazy, brings the whole level of the team down. You could have 4 hard workers and just 1 lazy person. And they've said just having 1, even in a team of 10, even in a team of 20 and beyond, just 1 person will bring the entire level down, because what they were trying to find was whether having 1 bad apple could be improved by the 19 or 20 other hard workers, and whether they would be motivated. Turns out it's the complete opposite. Just having 1 person in a team can bring the entire level down. And that is why you've got to be so careful about who you bring into the team. And so with Andy, he's not prejudiced against who you are, where you've come from, your story. Obviously, there needs to be an element of ability that's showcased beforehand. But obviously, when he started the business and started with employing people and bringing them into the team, there was just a basic, and he showed us there was a basic contract that he said, these are the values of this business, and this is what we expect. This is what I'll do for you. This is what I expect from you. And if at any time during your tenure here, you fail on any of these points, you are gone. Just point blank, I will come and have a conversation with you and say, you promised me on day 1 that you would uphold these values and that you would be this person, not only for yourself, for your family, for those around you, and for the team. And you failed, and you've fallen short, and there's a no tolerance policy on it. And what happened? His entire team had that mindset and pushed each other up and elevated to a new level where they're hitting hundreds of millions in turnover in a short amount of time.
Well, it was the story that they were even telling us as well, where he was on like a podcast episode, and he'd said, right, we're opening this new studio, we're opening this new whole complex where we're going to have all this training and and he'd said he was told it was going to take about 12 months. And he said he was going to do it in 90 days. But he said it on a podcast impulsively and said, we're going to do it in 90 days. And then I think he'd said, like, pretty much all the contractors just went, well, we can't do it in 90 days. What are you on about? So then he's kind of gone to his team, because he never wants to break a promise. And then he'd said, right, guys, I've kind of made this promise now, and we need to get this done. We've got an event that's literally booked in. People have paid for tickets. We've got to get it hosted and done. I'm hoping we've got to all work, for first do your normal shift of 9 to 5, and then go home for a few hours, rest for a couple of hours, and then come back and work for another solid 10 odd hours, but just redoing up this studio. And every one of his team did it. Obviously, I'm sure they got paid and all that for it, but it shows you that his team, he's managed to get to such a level of I suppose, family and values that they're willing to put in that extra effort for 90 days and they got it done. And it's admirable.
He was saying they were working till 2 in the morning, and the amount of comments and posts that I see online of people going, "Why should I do that for my employer? I'm paid from 9 till 5, and the second the clock strikes 5, I'm done. So if my manager or anybody asks me to do any work outside of those hours, they can piss off." And I just think to myself, mind blown. And I don't mind the mentality, but just know that that's the mindset and mentality of someone that doesn't give a shit about who they work for, where they work, the people they work with. And also, it's just a very limiting mindset where you will never be successful. You will never achieve anything or anything close to a level of success in anything in your life if your mindset is, I am here to do the bare minimum. Now, that's absolutely fine because people have got motivations outside of work. People have got families, people have got lives, and that's fine. But just know that where you prioritize your time is where you see the results. And I completely understand that. So the caveat to that argument would be, well, I would much rather spend my time at home with my family or going out with my friends than I would working. Great. But don't then knock on your manager's door and say, I need a pay rise, because you ain't getting one and you don't deserve one. And then when you complain about being poor and you complain that you've got no money and you've got bills through the roof and your wife hates you because you can't afford anything, but you're leaving dead on 5, tough shit. Genuinely, results and success takes sacrifice. And if you can't sacrifice 2 minutes past your paid time schedule where you finish at 5 and that's that, and that is just the general rule of thumb. Like I said, success takes sacrifice.
It does. And the main thing about it, and what we've learned a lot from Andy's time as well, I think he's got the right people in, but he's got the right people in for the mindset and the values that he's created. And I think because of the environment that has been created on what his beliefs and the things that he's implemented it means that a lot of people, he's managed to find the people that want to stay and then just continued executing on that and keeping the same recipe so he gets the same people through the door. I think that's it. And I think it's down to the individual, but it also does come down to the leadership as well. I think it's important to create an environment where some people are going to want to stay as well. And that's the caveat to it, where you get some people. I mean, I've got a hilarious story where there was a business owner, because you get bad business owners, but you also get bad staff. But the one was a bad employer, and he'd thrown a folder, like a proper bookbinder, at someone's head. And it was like, now that's someone you're not going to stay past 9 till. But on the flip side, maybe she was a shit employee.
I know who this was, and I know who the guy was as well.
Yeah, we better be careful on naming names.
Yeah, we're not naming names. Very famous car dealer, but we'll leave that one for another time. But this is a really good point, and again, this is where it's all about leadership, and we're going to do an episode coming up soon on how to be a good leader, because leadership is about influencing and inspiring. And if you're the type of person that couldn't influence and inspire those around you, then you shouldn't be a leader. So the reality is, again, caveating the point earlier and playing devil's advocate, it is a good point where these people generally who say, I'm not going above and beyond for my manager, for my leaders, the people that I work for, sometimes I would probably agree and say, yeah, you shouldn't, because they are arseholes and they don't know how to lead or they don't know how to inspire. But the reality is, we always say this, and the thing that's really drilled it home for us after spending time with Andy and his team, we're not doing enough. We are definitely not doing enough as leaders of people in our team to inspire and to influence and to do a better job of catering to their needs. And I do like this Simon Squib mindset of give without take. And the best leaders generally are the ones that have other people's interests at heart and genuinely want the best for people and the best for those around them. And if you're a leader or if you're in a position of authority and you don't care about the needs of the people around you, then you very quickly get found out, and that's when the toxicity is created. One of the best stories that I heard from the weekend was one of the guy, Ian Macklin. He had a little boy, 5 years old, just started going to baseball practice. And there was two teams that they had in the local area. And he didn't get onto the one straight away. He just picked the one that was nearest. And he spent a whole season, which is a year, playing baseball. And his son didn't hit a ball for a year, ever. And he was miserable. He was trying his best. He was turning up to the sessions. But the coach, i.e. the leader of the team, didn't care. It was like very Happy Gilmore-esque with Chubbs at the start when he's trying to teach that.
Hips.
It's all in the hips. He's trying to teach that woman to play golf, and he don't care. She doesn't care. She's there just smacking the ball, and he's reading a magazine. And that's the mindset of most leaders nowadays. It's just this lack of care for the people that are around them. And so after the first year was done, his son was really just deflated and not really made much improvement to his actual game until the next year, where Ian said, I'm going to try and get you onto this other team. And he went to the leader, went to the coach of the other team and said, this is my son. He's been playing baseball for a year. It's been playing with this team. Didn't work out too well for him. He's not really been getting it. But my son's told me that he wants to give it another go. Even though he's had a really tough year, he's really underperformed. He wants to carry on. And so the coach said, no problem. We've got a space for him on the team, but these are the rules. Every single day, without fail, I want you to send me a video at home of you playing baseball with your son, because as much as I'm his coach, you're his father. And what I teach him here, I need to know he's been taken home with him and that it is being enforced at home. I will not have anybody on this team who is bringing the other kids down. For those that are doing the work, I'm not bringing someone in that's going to be lazy, that's not going to put the effort in. And so if you're not interested in holding those values and holding those rules, you can't join the team. And if at any point you fail to send me a video or fail to get in touch and show me the training that you're doing on top of what I'm doing on top of what I'm doing here, he's off the team. And so straight away, he thought, wow.
He's buzzing when he was like, oh my God, yeah. He goes, I'm getting him all the kit. I'm getting him this and getting the best baseballs. And then he was like, yeah, we're going to be running drills. And he was like, he just went mad. He was like, oh my, and yeah, and he completely changed.
Exactly. He turned into a leader himself. And this is a good thing. The best leaders are good at making other leaders. And that was one of Andy's biggest messages. So Ian Macklin has been working for Andy for years and years. And now he has become a great leader in himself. And now, so he's got his son playing baseball. He said he had one of the best seasons. His game has improved. He loves baseball. He's become a real avid player. And to really pull that story back, it just goes to show what we were saying about having a good leader, because one could have resulted in his son never playing baseball ever again. And the second one could literally result in his son being
time for the Red Stripes.
One of the Red Stripes. Never, isn't it? Who are that? Which team's the Red Stripes?
No, I just made them up. I don't want to get done
right,
for,
yeah,
you know.
No, let's call it the New York Knicks or something. No, the New York Yankees. That's terrible. We're not American.
There you go.
Yeah, the Yankees. But he could be a Hall of Famer, a Hall of Fame baseball player. And it is quite simply down to having one person leading in one way, which is just uncaring, unfeeling, unbothered. And then you've got another one who's there to inspire, set the standards, set the values, and bring people along on this journey of success. And you can see straight away, even from a young age, and it's one for all of the parents out there as well. Because again, Andy's got kids and his team have kids. And we were speaking to all of his team about their children, about their families. And he was saying that Andy has single-handedly changed his life, his family's life, his children's life, all for the better, just because he's instilled this leadership into us and this mindset into us. So it was really, really powerful stuff listening to all these transformations that have happened. And for us, we've got a lot to implement, and it was a lot for us to learn, wasn't it?
Yeah, and on that point with those people, if you truly ask yourself as someone who works for a company and say, am I putting in a load of effort that's not getting noticed, and that's the thing that's demotivating me, or is it am I just a bit of a lazy person? It's sort of, you got to be a bit introspective. But if you're the person and you feel like you're doing loads of work and not getting noticed, and you put in work to the manager, they're kind of like, no, I don't want to see this, don't want to see that, la 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 la, and that's why you might be not getting where you want to get. Then your best move would be to leave, because you're not working for the right person, and it is exactly like you've said, you're working for the wrong coach that's not getting enough out of you that you can give, but you're just not doing the work.
100%. You could be a star player. You could be one of the best in the world at something had you had the right coach. Go back to school. Everybody remembers being at school and having their favorite teacher, or having a teacher that they absolutely hated. And some teachers just should be straight up fired. They just are terrible because they're terrible with kids. They're terrible at teaching and they don't care. Whereas the best ones, and you hear these lovely stories, one of the best ones that I ever heard, and I wish I could remember his name, was Ian Wright's teacher. And there's a beautiful video of him. He's at an Arsenal, I'm pretty sure he's at the Arsenal stadium, and his old teacher comes in wearing his hat, and Ian completely is beside, starts crying. He looks at his teacher with just the most emphatic gaze and emotion, and this flood of tears just took over him because this teacher had made him who he was. His teacher had believed in him, guided him, coached him, trained him to become Ian Wright, who we all know is one of the most successful footballers of all time. Incredible pundit, incredible person with a great mindset. Now, if he didn't have that teacher, he might have turned into a barista at Starbucks. Do you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with baristas being a barista at Starbucks before everybody jumps on me for it. But comparing it to being a world-class footballer just because of one individual who believed in him, we've all got that, and we all have that person. And if you haven't got someone like that, certainly in business, certainly in work, go and find one. Go and ask yourself who you know who inspires you in your life. And if you can't think of a single person, whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, whether it's a coach, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a boss, manager, find someone who's so powerful. It'll bring out the best in you and the best in those around you as well.
Well, I know what I'm going to do right after this podcast. I'm going to call my secondary school and tell them that it's all their fault. It's their shit. Because I got terrible results, and now it ain't my fault. Nah, but it's probably a bit of me. But, I think it was a great experience. I loved every minute of it. It's intense. It was hard work, but it shows you where you can get to as a leader, and also where you then want to create, like you say, the leaders in your own team, because, you can't do everything yourself. And if you've got everyone running, at 90% instead of everyone running at like 50%, and you're at like 120 odd percent, where you just burn yourself out all the time, it's not going to work. It's not sustainable. And you've got to be able to bring everyone else up to a standard where they feel like they're making decisions, and they're going to be happier knowing that they're in a job where they can say, oh, you know what? I implemented that, and I solved that problem. And it's a feel-good factor that people are going to get. And you could see it oozing out of everyone that works for his corporation. Even the people like in the back room where we kind of got showed round. And it's like some of the people that might just do a bit of like the admin, but he wouldn't think that, or he wouldn't make someone think that, they were just doing admin. But it's not just that, it's a crucial part. And he makes everyone feel like they're a part of the team, that they've got value to add.
He was just a great leader. And I think the one thing that I would say, we spent £10,000. We got to spend a weekend with his team and with him. He invited us over to his house, everybody that was there.
Well, that was a
got
nice
to go
one.
to his house. We'll put some images up in the background of his house, of where he's living. And again, it's a gaff, to be fair. Isn't it? It's
it is
absolute
he
gaff.
showed us the outhouse. Oh, well, we thought it was another house. Well, it was really. And we were like, oh, bloody hell, I wonder who owns that one. And they were like, yeah, he owns that one as well. It was like, that's just the guest house.
Well, no, we were laughing because we said how funny it must be for his neighbours to consistently
Yeah, that was
see
it.
30 to 50 people constantly in and out of his house, because he obviously brings them in to showcase what he's been able to do through his business, through mentorship, through leadership, and what he's managed to achieve. He said it must be funny for the neighbours to constantly see a stream of people coming through. And he's like, oh, he hasn't got neighbours. He's bought that house as well. And the house must have been worth about 3-4 million. And so he's got 2 of them. So there's 8 million. And he's got a plot of land over that he's also acquired, which was probably another 1 million that he's probably he's going to build a house on as well. So it just goes to show how important all these things are and what can be achieved through doing it. Now, what were some of the other key highlights, probably away from that, about Arizona? What did you enjoy?
You know, the whole landscape of it is just stunning. You know, like, I mean, I live in Litchfield and like Birmingham area. It's slightly different out there, funnily enough. And no, it's an amazing environment, amazing area, the weather, the people. I mean, I love the Americans because it's all just, hey man, how you doing? And it's all, everyone's all very upbeat and everyone's all hello this, hello that. I mean, I suppose they could whip a gun out on you at any time, so you probably have to be a bit clever. But no, I loved it. And then we had the food as well. That steak restaurant, that was
They cook a mean barbecue.
Yeah, it's
in Arizona, cowboy country, right?
Yeah,
Really
it was unbelievable. So there was loads of highlights. I mean, we're lucky that we get to do some of this stuff because of the position we're in, but we've put ourselves in that position for the things that we've done. But you know, it's amazing. Yeah, the hotel we stayed at. But what about you?
Self-driving car.
Oh,
that was insane.
that was amazing as well.
So anybody that hasn't seen yet, if you go and check out Waymo, we went to Arizona, and obviously having this app, you can literally order a car, turns up, no driver. It's a Jaguar E-Pace, I believe it is. It's just cameras all over it. And it literally will drive you wherever you want it to go. It's insane. Across highways, across to the airport, to restaurants. It's basically Uber without a driver. So go and check out Waymo. Freakiest experience of your life, getting into a car without a driver and just watching it travel up to 80 miles an hour on freeways, highways, whatever they call them. And it was, it was a crazy experience. So self-driving cars is the future. That's nuts. Couldn't believe that. That's really going to be a big productivity uptick as well for a lot of people. Think you never have to drive anywhere ever again. You can just set up a car with a little coffee table, pull your laptop out and just have the car drive you to wherever you want to go. It was absolutely nuts. Obviously, meeting his team, going to his house was a big one for me. You talk about the American people. I'm a bit more...
You're more skeptical.
I'm not skeptical. The mindset for me, I really appreciate their overall outlook on life and their country and their culture. You know, they love America. They're so devout to their country, which is something that I wish we could take on board. Because if you ask 80% of people what they think of the UK, they're going to go, it's a shithole. We don't like it.
We were saying it ourselves at times.
We hate the royal family. We hate where we come from. We hate the people. We hate the weather. We hate all of this. And it's just such a negative mindset on things. And it's just something that has now really taken over the entire country. There's just no sense of patriotism and love towards Great Britain anymore. It's just all negative. So to go somewhere where the mindset is, we love America, American dream, land of the free, home of the brave, all of that, I think is lovely to see. And it's a real juxtaposition to what we have here.
It's their culture.
However, they aren't half annoying. Sometimes, you know, it's the accent and it's the over the top real. And in England, I love this about us because we are miserable. And that's one thing I do love about the people that are here. You know, we're all miserable together and all of us want to leave. But then when we do go, it's, I want to go home. It doesn't feel like home. Whereas there's an element, I don't think it is, but it seems half fake when someone's in your face going, oh my God, how's your day? And I'm like, it's a tough crowd.
Lovely, thanks.
Mate. Yeah, I'm all right. Cheers, mate. And it's like, oh, that's so fantastic to hear. Super fantastic. And I'm really thinking to myself, mate, give it a rest. Tone it down at least about 50%. and then you're on my level that I can deal with, and I love them. But again, it's just cultural differences.
It's like Andy's team. Like he even, he's getting us to do push-ups and things, or like when he's, discussing some of the things that we're doing, and they get on stage. He's like, "Hey, come on, everybody, let's fucking go!" Like, and it's like a million mile an hour. And it's like if you did that in a convention in the UK, or there was another Australian guy that we were speaking to, we're all just a bit like, it's a bit much. Like, "Oh, yeah, go America." And it's like, it's just such a cultural difference.
Well, once you look past that, I think that's the only thing that you would say. Like, you get to put people on stage, right? Everybody on 3 shouts success. It's like, but once you're in
Success!
once you're in it, it is quite fun. You just have to sometimes get involved because, again, you do grow up, and it's a shame. Once you get older, that childlike and childish innocence gets beaten out of you, and you just become miserable, and you don't want to get involved. And sometimes then when you have kids, it actually brings it back out of you again, because you can live vicariously through them, and that brings that element of innocent joy out of you again, where you're not afraid to humiliate yourself, you're not afraid to do all of these funny things. But we all become so
rigid,
conformed to this, like, I don't want to do anything to stand out, or I don't want to embarrass myself, or I don't want to speak out on something because I'm scared of what people might think of me, or I'm scared what happens on social media. I might get cancelled. And it is unfortunate because it then beats out of this innocence of everybody that now everyone's so judgy, aren't they?
Yeah,
Everyone's become such an arsehole because of social media and the comments and what people say, and people pick on whether it's personal faults, whether it's emotional faults, whether it's flaws in their character, their appearance. It's just, you'll be attacked for anything these days, no matter what you do. So reality is you just try and have a bit of a thicker skin.
Yeah, well, I had to have a thick skin. I mean, I had long hair at school and I got bullied all the time. It's followed through in later life, so I can take the hits.
It's important though, but I think closing out on the Arizona, I had an amazing time. There's loads for us to work on. Did we get our value for money? £10,000 business expense. We invest heavily in our own training. I think anybody that goes through life and thinks that they have finished school and they've learned all they needed to learn is an absolute dimwit, because the reality is learning stops after you finish school. Sorry, learning starts after you finish school. That's where the real lessons come in. And the best thing you can do in life is learn as much as you can, because that knowledge is power, and that knowledge is what's going to take you to the next level. So we invested £10,000 with Andy Elliott. We invest another £30,000 every year with a business mentor. Shout out John Asquith. And we also study, we read, we watch podcasts, we learn, and it helps in so many ways, because you don't know what you don't know. And Alex Hormozy always, he really sort of brought this home for me, where he classified something as the ignorance debt. And the reality is, the only reason I'm not making £1 million a year in profit is because I don't know how to make £1 million a year in profit. There are loads of people out there that do. So seek them out, go and find them, find a way to spend as much time with them as that you possibly can. If you have to pay them, if you have to email them every day for a year, if you have to knock on their office door, find a way to align yourself with these people that know what you want to learn. And for us in this instance, it was Andy Elliott. There's so much that he's doing that we've now learned from him. It's probably taken him, he told us he was 40 when he started this new business. And it took him up until his 40th birthday to realize that this is what it took to build what he's built. And hopefully it doesn't take us until our 40th. I'm 29. You've just turned 31. So the reality is the competition's on. So we can build, if we've taken what we've learned from Andy and now we can implement it into our business, I hope to see a 2x, 3x, 4x return on that. And all of a sudden we'll be turning over 20 million each year. And it's all about learning.
I mean, the final points for me that I loved about it was, one, as always with these things, doing it with you. We work really well together, and I always learn stuff from you on these trips. And it's really appreciated. I love doing it with you. And the other thing as well, like you were saying about the mentor, he pays, he said, 500,000 a year with PBD as well. So he's got a mentor himself. So it shows you that even these people that have businesses of 9 figures, they also have mentors. They don't know it all. And if they don't know it all, we for sure definitely don't know it all either. So it's important to keep learning.
100%. Now, Patrick Bet David is PBD, just for anybody that isn't sure. He's a genius. And he's got a mentor himself. I'm pretty sure he works with Tony Robbins, and then Tony Robbins will have a mentor. Everybody that is in a position of success, seniority, has got a leader and a mentor and somebody that they use as a coach. Everyone. If you want to be successful in life, find a coach. As I said earlier in the video, make sure that you've got someone that you look up to, that knows you well, that motivates you, that steers you in the right direction, because you can leverage them and you will genuinely see a massive, massive, massive return on your investment, whether it's time, money, whatever you need to do to align yourself with these people. It will be the best decision that you ever make.
100%.
Okay, everybody, thanks very much for watching. Obviously, a slightly different episode today talking about our trip to Arizona. We do these trips all the time. We're going to insert some other footage that we collected whilst we were there. But as we've said, it's really, really important to find yourself these leaders and seek them out in life, because they will help you get to where you want to go. It cost us £10,000 to spend a weekend with Andy Elliott and his team. It was worth every single penny. I've seen plenty of stories of people that are complaining about him being a scammer, saying that he steals people's money. It's not true. And this is a message to anybody that doubts him. He is 100% legit. He's an incredible salesman. He's an incredible leader. And everything that we've seen over the last few days has supported that. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about our trip. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks very much for watching.